everybody and welcome to my channel. I'm CJ and this is my review of Solo Leveling episode 2. Let's get into it. We open this episode with this massive bastard statue and his beady eyes still steaming from the attack he did at the end of the last episode. The whole party is in pure fright of the situation, and Cheol-song kind of thanks Jin-woo for his quick thinking, because without it the party might have been wiped out there and then. Jin-woo and Cheol-song have a bit of an interaction where they realise that the Cartoon Temple commandments are a little bit more important than they realised previously. So they try to remember the commandments to figure out how to enact them. We get a little bit of a flashback of when the first portal appeared, which sparked the first humans in gaining their awakened abilities to be able to become hunters. It stated that hunters being courageous is an understatement, and I can fully agree with that. They have to face terrors that don't just strike fear in their heart, but in times can leave them in just utter despair. And guys, we get an opening this episode, and oh my god, the song is a banger. The opening itself is so good. It's very colourful with different contrasts of bright and dark colours. The opening is cram-packed with action shots, and I'm kind of curious if these are just shots for the opening or if we're actually going to see some full-on scenes with these shots in. A fair bit of the opening is based around this Cartoon Temple, so you can clearly see that this is possibly the main focus of the anime, is this temple. So will we leave the temple and revisit at another point? I don't know. The opening is around about a minute 30, which I find that an absolutely fine opening, as long as it's got a catchy song and the opening itself is eye-catching. You can have an opening that's 2 minutes long and it wouldn't bother me. This being 1 minute 30, I honestly can sit through and just vibe to the opening. I can also see myself trying to sing this song at some point, but I like to sing the anime songs, what can I say? Let me know if you like to sing anime songs when you're watching your anime. We open this episode in a classroom where we meet a character we saw briefly in the last episode. Her name is Han Songi. She sparks up a conversation with another female character, which I'm presuming is Jin-woo's sister, Gina Sung. And as quickly as we enter the classroom, we leave the classroom to go back to the dungeon. And one character gets the urge of confidence that his speed can get him out of this situation, get him out of the temple. And I ain't gonna lie, I kind of chuckled a little bit when this scene happened, because this guy was so confident in his abilities that when he attempted to run, the temple guard just blitzed him in a second, and all that was left was just 2 feet. And with all this going on, Jin-woo and Cheol-song somehow remain relatively calm to try and solve the situation and try and get themselves out of this dungeon. Jin-woo is trying to test a theory he has about the commandments and the temple itself. He quickly stands up to get the attention of the god statue, and just as he was about to fire its laser at him, he bows down, quickly stopping the statue from blasting him into smithereens. And with Jin-woo's theory confirmed, he urges all of the other party members to bow down and worship thy god. And with all the party members worshipping thy god, the god statue smiles sinisterly, and following that by standing up and slowly walking over to the party. And now, with this new threat looming over them, they know that Jin-woo's theory to follow the commandment is probably their best way to get out of there. The next commandment they need to beat is to praise God, and one member of the party says he's a student of ethnology and begins to recite a prayer, although this prayer doesn't seem to apply to this particular god, and with such, the god smiles and steps on him, crushing this party member underneath his foot. And with one more party member down, this godlike statue smiles even more. And I ain't gonna lie, this statue is a goddamn monster. As the rest of the party scatter, one of the members falls to her knees in fear, and she is ultimately crushed as well. Banez believes that standing by the walls is probably a safe area to stand. However, he is stood in front of a statue, and as Sang-shik tries to warn him about what's about to happen, Banez is attacked and he gets sliced in half. I honestly forget sometimes about how gruesome animes can be, and it makes me laugh when people are like, oh, anime is for kids, oh, anime is not for adults. You guys literally haven't seen this kind of shit. This shit is not for kids. Not a hope in hell. Honestly, you can forget live action horror films and that kind of shit. Anime, when it wants to do horror, holy fuck, that shit burns into your memory. Literally in this scene, Banez is split in half, his body flops in either direction, and you literally get a reflection of Banez as his body is just flops aside. And then they give you a close-up of his half of his face as it's like just bleeding out and pissing blood. It's god damn. Another member has been thrown to the ground as he's staring at his butchered off arm, as another statue wielding an axe raises it and cuts him in half, finishing him as well. The rate of urgency to find the next piece of the puzzle is increasing tenfold. And as Jin-woo is looking around, he realizes that some statues have weapons and some of them have musical instruments, and it could be this that they're looking for. So he urges people to run to the statues with the musical instruments. As he's dragging Johi to one, it doesn't do anything. As others arrive at their solo musical statue, they begin to play their instruments. Jin-woo has realised that only one person can stand in front of a musical statue, so he leaves Johi on her own while he runs off to go and get his own musical statue, at which Johi's musical statue begins to play its instrument, and Jin-woo is now being chased by the god statue. The god statue attempts to crush Jin-woo under his foot, but is unsuccessful as Jin-woo manages to jump out the way. Unfortunately, he has fell into the reaches of a weapon holding statue. This statue was holding a shield, I believe. We then see the statue raise the shield and then drop it. A huge cloud of dust emanates from this. Juhi is in pure fear that her friend has just perished. Honestly, in this situation, I feel worried if they're going to survive, if they're not going to survive. But I feel hope that they all manage to rally together and get out before losing anyone else. Jin-woo luckily survived that ordeal. However, it did cost him his leg. And just as Jin-woo manages to get to his statue, he just misses being trod on by the god statue. All the musical statues play their song praising their god, and the god goes back to his seat. I want to add the soundtrack to this dungeon. Honestly amps up the feel of horror and doubt and negativity, while also upping the action intensity as well. Jui runs over to Jin-woo, who is barely hanging on to life at this point, and she expresses pure fear and shock at Jin-woo as he's sat there missing a leg. She attempts to try and heal Jin-woo, however she's not powerful enough and she doesn't have enough mana to heal him fully. The remaining members gather together as they discuss their situation. They have one more trial to beat. The god's hand raises, and in the center of the room a altar arises as well. Chill Song is kind of forced by Sang-shik to investigate this altar, that if they have to sacrifice a person, then it should be him because he was the party leader and he's the one that dragged him into this. It was split 6-6 well, technically it was 7-6. So 7 people agreed to go to that temple. 7 of them didn't agree. And you know what? You can't blame it on one person. That's not quite fair. As Cheol-sung enters the main ring, a orange flame emits. Cheol-sung asks Jin-woo if he needs to do anything with this flame. Jin-woo asks 2 of the other members if they can carry him into this inner circle to test a theory. And as they do, 3 more flames light up, to which Jin-woo turns to Sung-shi and Jui to tell them to get into the ring as well, because their flames are needed to finish this off. And once all the members were in, 6 flames are lit. A ring of blue flames emits around outside of the main 6 flames, in which the doors to the temple open up, but the statues around the ring all begin to slowly move towards the circle. However, like in Doctor Who with Weeping Angels, these statues cannot move while they are being observed, and Jin-woo has deducted that the blue flames are counting down like a timer, so all they have to do is survive until the timer goes out. Unfortunately, 2 of the members lose their call and they run to the doors and escape, leaving Cheol-sung, Sung-shi, Jin-woo and Jui left. Sung-shi also loses his call and makes a break for it. Now that they haven't got enough members to keep an eye on all the statues that's surrounding them, they discuss their situation of who should be left to die to allow the other 2 to escape. Cheol-sung asks if Jui has got the strength to carry Jin-woo out because they've got the youth and he's older. Unfortunately, Jui hasn't got the strength to carry him, and Jin-woo has only got 1 leg, so he can't carry Jui out. So Cheol-sung chops Jui from behind, knocking her out, throwing her over her shoulder, and walking out the temple, leaving Jin-woo on his own. Jin-woo is now alone as these behemoth statues are slowly making their way to the circle. And I honestly feel for Jin-woo, because you've got to at some point have some feeling of abandonment, some feeling of hopelessness, thought that there's no way out for you, you're not going to be able to escape. He hasn't got 2 legs, so he's not going to be able to run to the doors before the doors close, so he's got no way out. It's done for him. But he does have a slight urge of confidence, picking up Sung-shi's sword and declaring that if he's going to go down, he's taking one of the statues with him. But I give him credit for the thought, but I can't see it happening. Unfortunately, the statues have gotten to him and have begun their onslaught of attacks. Jin-woo loses an arm and he's crushed, pierced, stabbed, picked up, and as he falls and lands on the altar and he's just bleeding out, his eyes are bloodshot red, he knows he's pretty much seconds from death, and he sees the final hit that would finish him, a statue with a sword, bringing it down. The final blue flame goes out, and just before this statue can hit him, a screen pops up that says the secret quest has been completed and that Jin-woo has the qualifications to become a player. What does this mean? We have no fucking clue right now, but I can't wait to find out. And with this, the episode ends and we drop into the end credits, which I wasn't sure if it was going to be rolling credits like it was in the last episode, but we actually get an end credit. The video is trippy as fuck. The song's pretty chill though, I don't mind the song. I tend to skip ending songs, but this one was kind of chill, so I'm not too fussed about that. I've definitely listened to a lot more openings than I have to the endings, but after the credits we don't get a preview, but we get a next episode number and title in like a cool futuristic blue style. So if you like this episode and you can't wait to see more of my anime reviews, then don't forget to like the video, and subscribe so you don't miss an epic review.